Good morning, students. Welcome to your today's economics class. Well, students, we are doing the chapter The Story of Village Palampur, right? So in our last class, we began with our journey of revision. So we started with the revision or the recapitulation of the first topic from the chapter, that is the introduction part. So in the very beginning, we analyzed the learning objectives of the chapter, and then we proceeded to discuss the meaning of two very important terms, economics and economy. In fact, this chapter, The Story of Village Palampur, is a part of economics, right? So it is very important for us to know what economics is before starting with the chapter. So that is why we began with the meaning of economics, and then we went on to understand the meaning of economy. So economics means that branch of social science which deals with the study of the major activities that are undertaken in a country, like production, consumption, distribution, trade, etc., etc. So economics helps us to understand or to gather knowledge about the various pressing issues of a country, like poverty, unemployment, national income, etc., etc. So students, what is an economy? So economy is the place or the area or the region where these activities such as production, consumption, distribution, etc. are undertaken. So students, after knowing the meaning of economics and economy, we started with the formal revision of the chapter. We started with the introduction. We came to know about the various conditions, the economic conditions, the social conditions, the infrastructural conditions prevailing in the village Palampur. So Palampur is a fairly well developed village with all kinds of modern amenities. For example, transportation facilities, fairly developed communication facilities, well built houses, well built roads, then schools, hospitals, electricity connection, proper irrigational facilities, etc., etc. So Palampur's infrastructural condition is quite well developed. So after studying or understanding the infrastructural condition of Palampur, we went on to compare the social condition of the life of people residing in Palampur. So we came to know that in Palampur, two categories of people reside. One is the upper caste people and the other one is the lower caste people, or the scheduled caste, or the SCs. So we compared the life situations of the upper caste people and the SCs. So while comparing, we came to know that in Palampur there are 80 upper caste families, while 1/3 of the total population comprises of the SCs. That means in Palampur there are 450 families. So out of those 450 families, 150 families are scheduled caste, or they belong to the lower caste. We also came to know that in Palampur, the majority of the land that is available is owned by the upper caste people. So this means that the lower caste people do not have their own plot of land. So they just live in just one corner of the village. After that, students, we came to know about the condition of the houses of the upper caste and the lower caste people. While the houses of the upper caste people are quite well built with proper brick and cement plastering, like the houses that we see in the urban areas, the houses of the lower caste people were very poorly built with mud and straw. So this is how we analyzed the economic as well as the social condition of the life of the two categories of people, that is the upper caste and the lower caste. So that's how we ended our last class. So today we are going to proceed with the next topic, that is the factors of production. So shall we begin with our today's class? Factors of production. So students, factors of production are anything that are used in the production process. Any input, any raw material, anything that is used in the production process that helps us in producing something are known as factors of production. So from the point of view of economics, that is from economic terminology, factors of production refers to the resources or the inputs or the raw materials that are used in the process of production. So these factors helps us in producing the output. How? By converting the raw materials into finished products. For example, if we consider the farming sector, which happens to be the most important economic activity in Palampur, so for producing the crops, let's say wheat, the farmers will use seeds, right? So the farmers will sow the seeds. So the seeds in this case are the raw materials, and the wheat that will be cultivated or that will be harvested at the end is the output. So in any kind of production activity, some raw materials are used which are converted into the finished products, which is known as the output. For example, if we consider the manufacturing sector, in Palampur itself we came to know that sugarcane is processed to produce jaggery. So sugarcane is the raw material and the jaggery that is produced is the output or the finished product. So how can we produce the output or the finished product by using the raw materials? By using these factors of production. So students, there are basically 4 major factors of production: land, labor, physical capital and human capital. So today we shall be discussing about the first 2 important factors, that is land and labor. So now we are going to discuss about the first and foremost important factor of production, that is land. So students, land does not only mean the plot of land. Land means all the natural resources starting from water, the soil, the forest, the various minerals, etc. But to keep things simple, in Palampur, if we say land, it means we are only referring to the land that is used for cultivation, not the water or the forest or the soil or the minerals. Land simply means the land where the factories are set up, where cultivation is being done. Okay. So land, as we all know, is a free gift of nature. Land is gifted to us by nature. So since it is a natural resource, it means it can neither be created nor be destroyed. One cannot either increase the quantity of land, also one cannot decrease the quantity of land that is available. And land serves as the base or the foundation of any kind of production activity. That means to undertake any kind of production activity, what we need is land. If we have the land, then we can go on to have the other factors of production. But the first and foremost requirement of any production activity is land. Without having a piece of land, we cannot think of undertaking any kind of production activity. So students, land is a gift of nature and it is fixed. The amount of land, the availability of land is fixed. So students, because of this fixed nature of land, it also creates various difficulties or obstacles in increasing the farm productivity, which we shall be discussing later on. So students, what is the standard unit of measuring land? The standard unit of measuring land is hectare. So students, what is land? Land is the first and foremost important factor of production. It is a free gift of nature. It is a natural resource which can neither be created nor be destroyed. And land serves as the base or the foundation of any kind of production activity. Without having a piece of land, we cannot think of undertaking any kind of production activity. And how can we measure land? We can measure land by using a standard unit, that is hectare. The second important factor of production is labor. Labor means the people who will do the work. In any kind of production activity, the first thing that we need is the land, and the second thing that we need is the people who will work on the land. If we have the land, but if we don't have any person to work there, who will undertake the production activity, right? So labor is as much important as land is in the process of production. So labor basically means the people who will carry out the production activity. So students, in some production activities, highly skilled or highly expert, or we can say highly educated labor or workers are required, whereas in some kind of production activities, unskilled laborers can also do the work. So this means that labor is divided into two categories: skilled labor and unskilled labor. But students, both this skilled labor and unskilled laborers are equally important in the process of production. Let us now understand in a better way what are skilled and unskilled laborers. So students, skilled laborers are the ones, in fact how we measure skill is the first important question, right? So the skill of a laborer is measured in terms of his level of education, how many degrees he have, how many diplomas he have, the certificates that a person has, the various qualities that a person has, the various proficiencies. For example, for a person to be skilled, he needs various professional qualities, like the person has to be an expert in computer, he has to be a techno savvy, right? Then he has to have English speaking proficiency, management proficiency, the various soft skills are required nowadays. So students, a person having all these professional or educational qualities is referred to as a skilled worker or a skilled labor. So a person who has the educational degrees, along with that a person who has the various professional qualities is considered as a skilled labor. On the contrary, a person who does not have any of these qualities, a person who is neither educated nor does he have any professional qualities, is referred to as an unskilled labor. So students, there are two categories of labor. Skilled laborers means the educated and the qualified ones, and the unskilled laborers who are neither educated nor qualified, nor they have any kind of specialized abilities. So let us now find the differences between skilled labor and unskilled labor. So skilled laborers are basically the various professionals who are very reputed, who have a reputation in the society. For example, the various professionals, the doctors, the teachers, the engineers, pilots, the architects, etc. Whereas unskilled laborers are the ones whom we see working as maid, cleaner, sweeper, plumber, carpenter, etc., etc. So it is mostly those people who are engaged in the organized kind of activities, their work are organized, they are referred to as skilled labor. And the people who are seen engaging in various odd kind of jobs are basically the unskilled laborers. So the second point of difference between skilled and unskilled labor is that skilled laborers use their brain in the production process. The various technologies, the various ideas, the various inventions are made possible because of these skilled laborers. The scientists are skilled laborers. The various technologies are invented by them, right? The doctors who know how to treat the patients, the teachers who know how to handle students. So these are all skilled laborers. They are skilled because they have a brain and they know how to use the brain. They are intellectually expert. Okay. But on the other hand, the unskilled workers are mostly hired not because they have a brain, but because they are physically expert. They are expert in doing manual work. So students, one of the primary difference between skilled labor and unskilled labor is that skilled laborers are considered as skilled because they have a brain. Everyone has a brain, but it's in case of skilled laborers, they know how to use it. They have the intellectual capabilities. They are the ones who can develop various creations, who can invent things, who can develop new technologies, who can innovate things, right? So they are the skilled workers. On the other hand, the unskilled workers, since they are not educated enough, or since they are not trained enough, they do not know how to use their brain. The only thing that they are expert in is doing the manual work or the physical work. Since students, the skilled workers are the various professionals, they belong to various professions, they have intellectual capability and they are reputed ones, so they are mostly hired on a permanent basis. Okay, their work is regular, permanent, their work is secured. But students, in case of unskilled workers, their work is irregular. They are often not employed on a permanent basis. Most of the times they are employed on a daily basis or on a monthly basis. Their work is even seasonal. Let us take the example of agriculture itself. In agriculture, we can see the farm laborers are hired on a daily basis or sometimes on a monthly basis, or sometimes they are employed throughout the year. So most of the time it so happens that they are employed on a temporary basis. So students, in case of skilled laborers, their work is permanent or regular, whereas in case of unskilled workers, their work is temporary or irregular. The next point of difference between skilled labor and unskilled labor is that since the work of the skilled laborers are permanent, they are given salary, whereas since the work of the unskilled laborers are irregular or temporary, they are given wages. Wages are mostly given on a daily basis, right? But salary is given on a monthly basis, or sometimes it is also given on an annual basis. The various packages that we see that the employees in the MNCs, the multinational companies, are getting. So students, skilled laborers are paid salaries. Their income is called salary, whereas the income of the unskilled laborers are called wages. Okay. The next point of difference between skilled and unskilled labor is because of the kind of work they do, skilled laborers are respected by the society. They are considered as ideals by the society. In fact, the people say that I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, because these are all the categories which belong to skilled laborers, right? So they want to be skilled. So skilled laborers are respected by the society. They are considered as reputed, whereas the unskilled laborers are often looked down upon by the society. They are not given the kind of respect that they deserve. It is mainly because of the work they do. But students, it is not at all correct to discriminate people on the basis of the kind of work they do, because every work is equally important. If the skilled workers are the ones who invent the machines, the unskilled laborers are the ones who use the machines or who run the machines. If we do not have the unskilled workers, there will be no one who will run the machines, right? So unskilled workers are as much important in the production process as the skilled laborers are. So students, this is how laborers are classified into skilled and unskilled laborers depending on their qualification and depending on their professional qualities. So students, today we started with a recapitulation of our previous class, and then we went on to discuss the meaning of factors of production. So factors of production means the input or the resources that are used in the process of production. So these factors help in producing the output by converting the raw materials into final products. There are 4 categories of factors of production: land, labor, physical capital and human capital. And today we discussed the first 2 important factors, that is land and labor. Land is a free gift of nature and it is also fixed in nature, and the standard unit of measuring land is hectare, and land is the first and foremost requirement in the process of production. Labor is another important requirement in the process of production. It means the people who will do the work. So labor is divided into 2 categories, skilled and unskilled laborers, depending on their educational attainments and their professional qualities. Skilled laborers are respected, they are considered as professionals, they are paid salaries, their work is permanent, whereas unskilled laborers are considered as laborers, their work is irregular, their work is temporary, they are paid wages, they are looked down upon by the society, and the unskilled laborers are the ones who are hired mainly because of their manual work. So students, this is all about today's class. Now it's time we end the video here. In case you have any doubt, as I always say, please let me know. I will be more than happy to help you. Okay students? Then see you all in your next class. Thank you. Stay safe, stay indoors, and have a nice day.